Okay, I'm going to try to make a quick video to explain how to make a histogram in Tableau and some of the pitfalls that you might just run into. We ran into some actually in class. And the pitfall actually that was created was because Tableau has come up with its own sort of classifications of data or field types. And so this is not just universal, this is Tableau specific. They have come up with these ideas of dimensions and measures. Okay, so what's a dimension? What's a measure? First off, dimensions are going to be qualitative things such as names, dates, geographic data, and we can use these to categorize. So to categorize, I would think more categorical type variables would be more on the dimension side, and the categories should reveal the details in your data. Think categorical. I don't know why they're calling these dimensions category, they're, I guess, categorical. They're looking at, anyway, that's how they're thinking about it. Measures, on the other hand, they're going to contain numeric quantitative values, so numerical values. So this is really, in some ways, you can almost think of measures being the numerical side of data types and dimensions being the categorical side. That's how I'd almost look at it. Now, they also have some distinction between blue and greens. Blues are going to be the discrete types. Greens are continuous types. And there you go. That's what you have. So the issue, though, becomes actually how does Tableau, I'm going to cancel out of this and just start new. The issue becomes how Tableau recognizes the data when it gets pulled in. And that's what we ran into, is actually Tableau did not recognize the data I had as a measure. So just to show you real quick, use of police force. And let's go ahead and use the data interpreter. Okay, that's fine. It says it's all cleaned. Now, when I come over here, I throw age in the rows and in columns. And then remember, before, I'm just showing you what I did in class yesterday. I can go down to the measure and actually do a count. Okay, and this is where I got a histogram. This actually is a histogram. It's a histogram with a bin size of 1. Remember, it's not showing up as a histogram. It's showing up as a bar chart. Tableau's recognize it as a bar chart. In fact, it is a histogram with a bin size of 1. But the problem is, as a bar chart type in Tableau, we cannot adjust the bin size. And so we're stuck there, and it's not very useful. And I was a little frustrated with that, thinking, okay, Tableau, what's going on? And so I was having trouble because I click on age and look, there's no histogram available to me. It says I need a measure, see? And that's the whole issue, is that I don't have a measure. Okay, so what I need to do is actually create, so the problem is it did not register age as a measure. It actually registered age as a categorical variable. And so that's how Tableau is actually recognizing it in a way. So we're going to convert this to a measure. Bam, that's all it is. Now when I click on it, guess what? There's histogram, nice and happy. And we see this can make a histogram with a bin size of, I guess it makes it default about 5. And we can adjust the bin size. So when we created a histogram, it created age with a bin over as a feature we can use here. You see that little pill is also thrown in the columns. We have the bin, and then we have the count. So what we can do is actually come over on the left hand menu. If we want to edit the bin size, click on the arrow, go to edit, and now we can edit the bin size and make whatever we want, 10. Or again, if you wanted to look at it how we did, if you want to reproduce the graph we did in class, that was a bin size of 1. That's what I told you, remember? And there it is again. So that's all histograms. That's how to make bin sizes. The ways that they're going to be useful, okay, the ways that you're going to be useful is going to be, basically, you'll be able to take the histogram, which shows you, in this case, we're looking at age on the x-axis, and we're seeing how age is distributed. Remember, each of these bins has a count. Okay, so we can see, sort of how many people are out here in their older age, getting arrested for crimes, and all these different ages. We can see about how age is distributed in this data set. You see, we'll talk about the distribution in more detail in class, but I just want to show you the key thing that we can look at is actually looking at different So we can actually look at the distribution of age across different categorical variables now. Categorical variables are really going to be all those ones with strings or ABCs on them. So like force type. Okay, I can just like look at the distribution of by force type. So bodily force, okay, was mainly used. You see less lethal projectiles, maximum restraint, firearms. Actually, such a small count of firearms. I'm just shocked about that they have firearm taser. So actually, that's kind of amazing to me. I would have thought that actually firearms would have a higher count than this. That's interesting. I'm kind of curious to just look at. So if I want to it's hard to see because there's so little. I want to see this a little bit more. What I can do is throw filters in the filters now, and let's just go to firearms and take a look. Wow, there's only 2 people that were actually shot. That is amazing to me. So, anyway, you can I'll remove this. You can also look, is it a 911 call? I can look at the distribution of age. So we have 911 call, yes and no. And what do we see here? About central tendency of this is about 24 versus. So it looks actually like there's. So I would interpret this as older people are more likely to get arrested from a 911 call probably than younger people. There's a higher sort of average age of arrest for 911 calls for people who are arrested, suspects who are arrested in a 911 call versus not. Now, bodily injury, that's kind of interesting. Do we have injury on here? I think we do. Subject injury. What if I were to throw that in on this mix, maybe in the color? How about that? What do we have for the key? This is interesting. So look, we have null. That means we don't see. Null means it's missing. Okay, so that's a problem. That's a little problem. We have a lot of missing data where there's just no information on whether the subject actually was injured or not. We could infer not. We might be making the wrong assumption. I don't know. There's a little data quality issue there. This data is not exactly perfect. So let's throw also injury. Let's see, subject injury in the filter, and we can get rid of null by unclicking it. And now just look at by force type. Yeah, you can look at the distributions here. So these are all just different ways of looking at the data. Again, I could edit the filter, and I could just look at not injury. And maybe that's too confusing. Okay, there we go. I mean, you can see. Actually, is it a 911 call? And they're not injured is actually more piled up on this lower side. If they are injured, let's take a look at that. This is interesting. You just basically what I'm showing you is you can use these tools to just kind of explore how the data is distributed. So if there was an injury, it looks like about 30. I don't know. The central tendencies are pretty close. But it looks like there's a fatter grouping over in this older age category, meaning if they got called, there's 911, maybe there's older people being actually injured by the police. These are interesting patterns that we can start to see and explore. Okay, so the whole purpose again of histograms and why they're useful is it helps you to, well, first off, you can see that there's data anomalies. Secondly, you can just see that there's difference or maybe different averages by different categories. And that can tell you that starts to teach you about what the data is actually going to try to tell you. So it's a first glimpse of trying to understand what the stories are in the data. And that's what you're really trying to uncover. And it's a learning process. This isn't something that's going to come fast. If you really want to learn a data set, then the best way is to just go about like what I'm doing now and just play with it. Just graph it. Just try to see what's it trying to tell you. Question it. Look at it. Keep interrogating it. Eventually, The process will lead to you starting to really come to a strong conclusion about what the data set is really strongly most supports as far as a story. Okay. That is how you learn from data, is by just playing with it and exploring with it. And I'm trying to show you that here. So hopefully you appreciate that. And we'll see you, I guess, we'll see you in class.